Are you wondering how to have the talk with your daughter? It's a question that can bring a mix of emotions for many parents, but it's an important conversation that all of us should have. This conversation is more than just a talk about the birds and the bees. It's about sexuality, relationships, and reproduction. It's about helping our daughters navigate the complex and often confusing world of growing up. Choosing the right time and setting is crucial. A private, comfortable space where you both feel relaxed can set the stage for an open and honest conversation. It's about creating an environment where questions are welcomed and discussions are encouraged. Whether it's during a casual car ride or a shared activity, these moments can become the perfect opportunity for initiating this crucial dialogue. Remember, having the talk is not a one-time event, but an ongoing conversation. Start with the basics. When it comes to having the talk with your daughter, it's best to begin by laying a solid foundation. This means explaining the basic anatomical terms and functions in a way that is simple, clear, and appropriate for her age. Let's consider the word anatomy. It might sound complex, but it's just a term that refers to the structure of our bodies, the parts we can see and those we can't. When we talk about anatomy in the context of this important conversation, we're referring to the differences between male and female bodies and how they function. So how do you approach this? Start by using correct terminology for body parts from an early age. This helps your daughter to understand her body and builds a foundation of knowledge that you can build upon as she grows. Use words like breasts, vagina, and uterus in a natural and straightforward way. This not only demystifies these parts of her body, but also normalizes the conversation around them. As your daughter grows older, you can start explaining the functions of these body parts. For example, you could explain that girls have ovaries that produce eggs, and when they reach a certain age, their bodies start preparing for the possibility of pregnancy. This is a simple, age-appropriate way to introduce the concept of menstruation. It's also important to explain that everyone's body develops at its own pace. Some girls may start to see changes in their bodies earlier than others, and that's perfectly normal. It's just the way our bodies work, and there's no right or wrong timeline for these changes. Remember, the goal here is not to overload your daughter with information. Instead, aim for a gradual introduction of concepts, allowing her to absorb and understand each new piece of information before moving on to the next. Finally, reassure her that it's okay to ask questions. Encourage her curiosity and be open to discussing her thoughts and concerns. This will foster a sense of trust and openness, making future conversations about more complex topics easier and more comfortable. Age-appropriate language can help your daughter understand her body without feeling overwhelmed. Remember, this is a journey you're both on together, and it's one that should be navigated with patience, understanding, and love. Encourage open-ended questions. This is a key piece of advice when having the talk with your daughter. By encouraging her to ask questions and express her thoughts and feelings, you're not only fostering a sense of openness and trust, but you're also giving yourself the opportunity to gauge her level of understanding. It's natural for children to have misconceptions about sexuality and relationships. They pick up bits of information here and there, and without context or clarification, these pieces can form an incomplete or distorted picture. Open-ended questions allow these misconceptions to surface, providing you with the chance to address them head-on. Moreover, when she feels comfortable asking questions, it creates an environment where she feels safe to explore and understand her feelings and thoughts. It's not about having all the answers, but about being there to guide her through her questions, curiosities, and concerns. Open-ended questions can foster a healthy dialogue about sexuality and relationships. Let's talk about puberty. This is the stage of life when a child's body begins to transition into an adult's, typically between the ages of 9 and 12. It's a whirlwind of physical and emotional changes, and it can be a confusing and sometimes scary time for a young girl. But with your guidance, your daughter can navigate this period with understanding and confidence. It begins with a conversation. Start by discussing the physical changes she can expect. Explain that her body will begin to grow and develop in new ways, such as growing breasts, getting her period, and experiencing growth spurts. Remember, it's vital to use clear and simple language. You don't need to delve into the complexities of the human reproductive system. Instead, focus on the basics. What will happen, when it might happen, and why it happens. But puberty isn't just about physical changes. It's also a time of emotional and psychological development. Hormones can cause mood swings, feelings of self-consciousness, and a heightened awareness of one's body. Assure your daughter that these feelings are normal and that everyone goes through them. Then explain that puberty doesn't happen all at once. It's a process that unfolds over several years, and everyone's timeline is different. Some girls may start puberty earlier or later than others, and that's perfectly okay. It's all part of becoming an individual. Finally, let your daughter know that it's okay to ask questions and share her feelings. Encourage her to come to you if she's confused, scared, or just curious. Make sure she knows that you're there to help her understand and navigate this new stage of her life. Understanding puberty can help your daughter navigate this challenging time with confidence. With open, honest discussions, you can help her embrace the changes she's experiencing and approach this new stage of her life with confidence and resilience. Remember, your role as a parent is not to have all the answers, but to guide your daughter as she finds her own. It's about building trust, fostering understanding, and providing a safe space for her to grow and explore. Healthy relationships and consent are crucial topics. Let's delve into how we can discuss these with our daughters. It's important to note that the foundation of any healthy relationship is mutual respect and clear communication. This means respecting one another's feelings, thoughts, and boundaries. It's about understanding that every person has the right to say no, and that no should be respected, always. Healthy relationships are not just about romantic partners. They include friendships, family ties, and even interactions with acquaintances. And in all these relationships, consent plays a vital role. Consent, in its simplest terms, means agreement or permission. And in the context of relationships, it's the voluntary agreement to participate in a particular activity. It's important to teach our daughters that consent should always be clear, informed, and mutual. It's not a one-time agreement, but something that can be withdrawn at any point. Furthermore, it's essential to highlight that consent is not just about physical activities. It applies to all aspects of interaction, from sharing personal information to deciding on shared activities. One effective way to discuss consent with your daughter is through everyday scenarios. For instance, you might talk about a situation where a friend wants to borrow a favorite book. The friend needs to ask for permission, and your daughter has the right to say yes or no. This simple scenario can help her understand the concept of consent in a broader context. As your daughter grows older and begins to navigate romantic relationships, it's important to discuss consent in this context as well. She needs to understand that her body is her own, and she has the right to decide what she is comfortable with. Likewise, she needs to respect the boundaries and comfort levels of others. Remember, these conversations should be ongoing. Consent is a complex topic that will evolve as your daughter matures and encounters new situations. By maintaining open dialogue, you can ensure she feels supported and empowered to navigate her relationships with respect and confidence. Teaching your daughter about consent and healthy relationships can empower her to make safe and respectful choices. Peer pressure and media influences can have a significant impact. They are powerful forces that can shape your daughter's attitudes and behaviors, particularly in relation to sexuality and relationships. The media, for instance, often presents unrealistic and stereotypical images of beauty, body image, and relationships, which can distort her perceptions and expectations. Peer pressure, on the other hand, can push her towards engaging in behaviors she might not be comfortable with or ready for. The key to helping your daughter navigate these influences is to equip her with critical thinking skills. Encourage her to question and analyze what she sees and hears, and to make decisions based on her own values and principles, rather than following the crowd or conforming to media messages. Remind her that it's okay to say no, to stand up for herself, and to make choices that are right for her. Critical thinking and decision-making skills can help your daughter navigate peer pressure and media influences. Remember, the talk is just the beginning. It's an ongoing dialogue that evolves as your daughter grows and matures. This conversation about sexuality, relationships, and personal development is a significant part of her journey towards understanding herself and the world around her. As we have discussed, it's crucial to provide accurate information, encourage open-ended questions, and speak about the changes brought on by puberty. We've also highlighted the importance of addressing peer pressure, media influences, and the concept of consent. Most importantly, always approach these discussions with a supportive and non-judgmental attitude, creating a safe environment for your daughter to express her thoughts and feelings. Stay engaged, check in regularly, and ensure that she knows she can come to you with her questions or concerns at any time. By fostering open communication and providing accurate information, you can help your daughter navigate the complexities of adolescence with confidence and resilience.